Hello again. As it happened yesterday, I had to go and do a CPR refresher, which we have to do every year, and that was in the afternoon. So I took the opportunity. It was Friday, so I took the opportunity in the morning. I said I'll go to the range because it's in the same area. It's like 100 kilometres away. I have to go. Yeah, crazy. But I'll go to the range, which is on the way and not far off. From the city where I did CPR, and I'll test out these loads that I made up. So, pardon me. Now, with regards to how the rifle has functioned, so I've put quite a few rounds through it now, and so this is the first time that I've shot it since I got it back from the gunsmiths after being pillared and bedded. Now, he did a really good job because one of the things that really improved was the positivity of the magazine. It's actually louder. It clicks in louder now. Like before, you could hardly hear it, but now it really clicks in quite positively. Yeah, it's really nice. Probably because I had that center pillar too tight. I didn't realise what I was doing. I thought it was a mounting pillar as well, but it's not. So I probably had that too tight, so that was affecting the magazine. So sorry, Savage, for bagging on that. As far as operation, I didn't have the bolt pull out once, so I'll try and get it to pull out. No. No, it doesn't pull out. Although it did for the gunsmith when he told me that he fixed the problem. But it didn't pull out once. It's really smooth. Feeding is really, really smooth. Extraction and injection, not a problem. Didn't have a problem once with extraction and injection. As I said, the feeding, when I first got it, it was a little bit rough. So I did polish the bottom of this. It doesn't really have a ramp. It's got like a spigot that pokes out at the front of at the back of the chain. It's really weird, but I did polish a little bit, but it was still a bit, still did want to hang up if you did it vigorously now and then, but now I have to say it feeds smooth as. I don't know whether the gunsmith did anything to it or not. I don't think he did, but yeah, it feeds beautifully. So as far as how the rifle is going, functioning, excellent. Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Savage. Yeah, it's not as bad as, I make it out to be. It does have some issues, but, other than that, other than those issues, I'll put those there. No, it's a good rifle. So, yeah. I tell you, previously I have said it was a piece of shit and it's no good and it's got problems. Once you sort them out, it's a good rifle. So you just got to sort them out, and as in those posts on those chat rooms, people did have a lot of problems with them. Now, at the start, you'll have seen a little snippet which I took with my phone, which didn't really give you a clear indication of just how windy it was. You can hear the wind, on the microphone. Like right now, it's just blowing a gale as well. But I think one of the guys must have had a Kestrel or something, because he said to me, I was talking to him and he said to me, yeah, it's 25 knots, gusting to 35 knots. And it really was. It was just horrendous. So unfortunately, yeah, once again I'm whinging about conditions, but it was a nice, beautiful, clear, sunny day, but the wind was horrendous. So I did expect to have lateral strings, which I did. Typically I would have, a decent group and then, at least one flyer that was way off to the side, which I expected, totally expected, so yeah. Now, let's see, what have we got here? Alright, so we started with I started off with the factory ammo. I just sighted it in with the factory ammo. And where's my sighting one? That's not it. I sighted in with the factory ammo, and with that factory ammo I got, let's see, so I did 4 targets of each of the different loads. So the factory ammo is pretty old. It's really tarnished. It's probably been sitting around for a few years. Yeah, so not impressive. But with the factory ammo, like I got 9.2, 0.92, you know, at 100 meters, so definitely one MOA. This one here is 0.78 without the flyer, and then a big flyer that blew it out to 1.6. And again, another one at 0.74 with a big flyer that blew it out to 1.1. And another one 0.66 with a fly that blew it out to 1.4. So, you know, I had these big flyers, but totally understandable. So that's the factory ammo. So I was, yeah, more impressive than I expected. Now, I'll go the 20 grain VMAXs. I made up a heap of 20 grain VMAXs that were what? That were, let me have a look. That were 9.9 grains, or 9 grains of little gun, and an overall length of 1.720. And what I did was to try and eliminate any variations, any possible errors on the ammunition's part. I actually weighed all the projectiles for these loads that I made up, and just whatever the biggest group was, I just used those. Or if there wasn't one group big enough for 50 rounds, I employed a few of the next group. So yeah, it's not projectiles that are the problem. Now, the 20 grain VMAX loads that I did, that I just told you, I had one at 1.2, so it was like two, like half an inch apart, and then another two less than half an inch apart. So that was probably the wind. Then one at 0.7, which had a sort of a flyer, so it would have been smaller. Then one at 0.5 with another flyer, lateral, that blew it out to 1.1. Then another one at 0.67 with a lateral fly that blew it out to 1.1. So I kept getting lateral flies, which is I totally expected with that wind. It really was horrendous. Then those 25 grain hollow points, which, where are they? These things? Yeah, 25 grain hollow points with 8.8 grains of little gun, and an overall length of 1.715 to 1.720. They sort of varied a bit because the seating is off the ogive, it's not off the end of the projectile, so it does vary a bit when you actually measure it end to end with your vernier. So the 25 grain hollow points, Hornady hollow points, was 0.56 with a lateral flyer that blew out 1.3. 0.58 with a lateral fly that blew it out to 1.7. 0.58 with a lateral fly that sort of went down as well, that blew it out to 1.3. And 0.7 with a lateral fly that blew it out to 1.7. Now, because the wind was so bad, it's really hard to discern what's causing that. I have to assume that it's the wind, because as soon as I got there, it was like, oh my god, this wind is absolutely horrendous. I'm going to have some lateral, stringing. So what I expected occurred. So I'm assuming that that's really the cause. I'm assuming. Now, the 25 grain VMAXs, this is the one that I was sort of hoping would do better, and it pretty much did. Like I had 0.64 and a lateral flyer of 1.3. 0.7, the wind probably died down there. 0.63 and a sideways string of 1.3. So yeah, because it was gusting up to an extra 10 knots and that. Now the 25 grain VMAXs, this is the sort of potential that it has. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, there's 2 holes there, but that's 4 rounds. So I had 2 rounds go through one hole and 2 rounds go through the other hole, and it's 0.28. Alright, that's the sort of accuracy that this thing, the accuracy potential that this thing has. There's another one of, oh, I haven't got my vernier here, but, well, actually I have. This one here is, what is it? Take my glasses off to measure it. A bit less. So that one's 0.35. With the flyer, it's 0.68. So, yeah, you're looking at about 1/3 of an inch or less accuracy potential for this thing. It really does have the potential. Obviously, you know, the conditions just, yeah, we're not in my favour for testing loads. But what I have deduced is that the hollow points are not that crash hot, which is because I don't think they're discontinued. That was really old stock that I bought. So between the 25 and the 20 grain VMAXs, let's see, what's the 25 grain VMAX was really good. Yeah, 25 grain hollow point wasn't bad either, actually. The 25 grain hollow point wasn't bad either. The 20 grain VMAXs, yeah, just generally speaking, yeah, none of it's really bad, but I think, I don't know whether to stick with the 20 grain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to muck around with a bit with the, because I haven't touched this rifle at all since I got it from the gunsmith. So I'm going to muck around, and I don't even know what the torque settings he put on the. I didn't even ask him on the stock screws. So I'm just going to have a play around with the torque settings there. Then I'm going to load up some more 20 grain and 20 grain VMAXs with, I don't know about different weights of powder, maybe 2 or 3 different weights of powder, but not much. I'm not going to vary them much, just by 0.1 of a grain, you know, here and there, maybe 3 with 0.1 of a grain difference between them of each, but also the seating depth. I'm going to muck around with that too, just because this thing really does have a heap of potential. So I'm going to see where it likes the bullet sitting, exactly how much powder it wants, and then I think I'm really going to have, you know, when I have a day at the range where it's not blowing, you know, your head off, then I can seriously test and evaluate what is the best weight of powder, weight of projectile. Yeah, even those hollow points, they weren't that bad. Now, one unusual thing which I have not had up to date, I don't think, if I can remember, is the primers failing to ignite. I had 4. Now 3 of them were the hollow point, and one was, I think, the 20 grain. Now, I actually put the vernier on these, the depth gauge on the vernier, and these primers were sitting low compared to because I tested a few of the other ammo, the other cartridges that did ignite and fire, and they're all sitting a little bit proud. So yeah, there's a variation in the primer pockets. I'm assuming that's what the problem was, because I've not had this problem before. So yeah, there you go. But anyway, that's the results of the range day. So, you know, those aren't the results that I wanted to see, but considering how bad the conditions were, that's what it was. And it happened, and that's the truth, and I'm going to give you the truth. I'm not going to bullshit to you. You know, I'm just not interested in, you know, bullshitting about results of, you know, rifle testing. I'm not, you know, I'm in nobody's pocket. No one's paying me, you know, definitely. Well, there's absolutely no doubt the Savage and Hornady aren't paying me. They probably don't want to know me, you know, or probably want to send out a hitman to shut me up. But anyway, no, the Savage is turning out to be a really nice rifle. Again, functioned flawlessly. The magazine, yeah, I hate plastic, but you know, it functions great, and it's a lot more positive, probably because I stuffed up with talking up that center pillar, which I shouldn't have. Yeah, feeds beautifully, like really smooth feeding. The bolt is super smooth. Yes, it's a 3-lug bolt, so it's a bit of especially if you've got a cartridge in there fired. It's not particularly smooth. There's a definite 2 stages there. That's the lugs out, and that's it cocked. So it's not super smooth, but it is what it is. The trigger, yeah, the trigger's alright. The weight that I've got it at, what was it, 2.8 pounds? I said 2.8 ounces in the other video. It's 2.8 pounds, and it's not too bad, it's pretty good. So actually I'm starting to really like this rifle, really like it. It's turning out really nice, not a problem with it. Anyway, that's enough about the rifle. Now, with these Walker's Razor electronic earmuffs, so I tested them out. One thing I forgot to mention is that it does come, I did say that it came with 2 AAA batteries. The nice thing about it is they come with Duracells, alright? Not some cheap shit, no-name Chinese batteries that last about, an hour. It comes with very good batteries. Now this was $62 Australian delivered to my door, and I can tell you right now, and I got a couple other people to put them on and try them, and they just went, wow, what is going on here? These are fantastic. So everybody that had a go of these was really impressed. There's only a couple of people. But I have to tell you that for the majority of the time, I was completely oblivious of what was going on around me, which is not the case with the other earmuffs that I've used. Even when I had someone next to me, even though he was only firing a rimfire, fair enough, if he was firing a centerfire, it probably would have disturbed me. But yeah, I was pretty much oblivious to what I was doing, and I was just concentrating and yeah, was oblivious to what was going on around me. So these things are excellent. I have to highly recommend them. They look really well made. Again, Walkers aren't paying me, but like I said, if something's really, really good, I'll definitely recommend it. And I like them so much, in the very near future, I'll get a second pair as a spare. Just so that if I go shooting somewhere, like at a friend's property or whatever, and he wants to have a shoot, he can wear something just as good. So yeah, that pretty much sums up what happened during the day. And yeah, the conditions were horrendous, but the potential is definitely there, and I can't wait to develop a few more loads and and go there on a day on a still day where it isn't blowing a gale, but just the position of the range where it's at, it's sort of like in a funnel. It's in between a range, the Harvey range, and the sea, so not good. But anyway, loving the rifle. Savage, yeah, it is a bit of a half-assed design, but it's operating perfectly, and yeah, probably wasn't worth the money I paid for it, but yeah, I have to, and this, I don't know what this finish is, but it's holding up really well. It's not rusting at all, so that's really nice. Bolt's really smooth, everything's working fine. Yeah, so actually, I mean, if you want to spend the money, and fix a few things, I would recommend like putting it in a different stock. If you haven't got it in the laminate stock, that's the only issue that I really had with it. The trigger is the trigger. Right, all right. So all in all, the rifle's great except for the trigger. That's pretty much the only thing that I have a problem with, which I've gotten down to a reasonable weight, but yeah, that's the only thing I've got a problem with. So the rifle's really good. Thank you, Savage. My apologies for bagging you so much, especially in the last video. But yeah, the rifle's great, so that's about it, and I'll see you later.